Okay, welcome. We're on Daf Nun Hey Amud Beis, and quite a short Gemara today. Tomorrow, the next Daf is a two-liner only. So we're middle of the Gemara, and the subject we're talking about is if we could rely on having a note sign that we shouldn't make a mistake. Goes back to our Mishnah. Our Mishnah spoke about in the Heichal, when they put down the place to put the bloods, you had two bloods. You had the blood of the bull and the blood of the goat. And Tanakama says there were two stands to put the bloods down, and you take the one that you need. And Abuda said there's only one stand, and he's going to be forced to take one and put the other one down. It's more definite that he's not going to make a mistake. And the Gemara thinks the reason, according to Abuda, that you don't make two stands, it seems everyone would have preferred to have two stands if possible. It must be because he's scared that there's going to be confusion, and that's what the Gemara is building on. Is there a chash that you're not so much, you don't rely on the writing. The Gemara thought that that's the pshat, and the Gemara therefore tried to explain that the Mishnah in Shkolim, where it talks about if Rabbi Yehuda held that you had two different shofarot, two different kupot, two different boxes for two different kinds of money, is it because he doesn't rely on writing on each box what it's for? Because you can't rely on the writing. People get distracted; they don't pay attention to what it says. Is that the reason? The Gemara thought that a similar to our Mishnah that the reader holds the Shita, so that you don't rely on the writing, that he's going to remember. But the Gemara disproved that because we see right there in the Mishnah Shkolim that the reader does rely on writing. You have 13 boxes over there. He only talked about these two boxes, but everything else he agrees that you have 13 boxes that have different, at least 12 of them that are going to have different names over there, Medava and everything. So that's not the reason. It came to the Maskana so far that if you holds you could rely on the writing. So first we're busy figuring out what's the reason in Shkolim that he says over there that you don't have two boxes, one for Kinei Chova, one for Olas Nadava. One box should be for the birds that are one Chatas, one Ola, and the other one is going to be for the Olas Nadava. Why not? And then later on, soon we're going to go back to our Mishnah and say, how come Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold that you have two stands? So we're middle of the Gemara yesterday, and the Gemara said that the words are Amri b'marava. That's about 10 lines up. Amri b'marava. First one line is Amar. Nun hey amad beis. Amri b'marava k'zer mishman chata shemesu b'olah. That the reason why the Gemara said you don't make a kupa that is going to be for kinei chova, which means the birds that a person is to bring. In the case of zava, and you make one chatas and one ola, is because if somebody dies, if one of the people who put money into that pushka died, and then is chatas shemesu b'olah, you don't bring it, you're not allowed to bring it, and now the whole box is going to have to go to the Yam HaMelech, all the money, because even the other women, we don't know which one it is. So in order to avoid that, so Tarobas doesn't mean that two boxes are going to be confused. One box alone is going to be confusion, because if one person dies, as the Gemara says, not maybe somebody's going to die, because not choshev somebody died, but if somebody did die, so then the whole box is going to be have to go liibud. You're not going to be able to use all those korbanos because there's a chata shemesu b'olah of one woman mixed in. The chata you can't bring out, but you don't know which one it is. They're different women. One woman, we know who died, but we don't know which is her money. So the whole box of money is going to have to be Yam HaMelech, because one of them is a chata shemesu b'olah. In order to avoid that confusion, Sabrina says, don't make such a box. You have money to bring for a chatas and ola, give it to the Kohen, give it each person by themselves. Don't put it into a community box. That's what we're up to. And Umicha Shinan. That's what we're up to today. Umicha Shinan is, I'm sorry, a little bit further down. I gave the wrong mark. And first it was maybe he's going to die. Then we said surely if somebody died. So up to Vinivor. I'm sorry. That's five lines from the bottom. By the Esther. What's the problem? Even if somebody dies and one of the monies over there belongs to somebody who died and you can't bring any of them, you don't know which one it is. What's the problem? Take 4 zuz, which is going to be the price of the one bird of the chatas. There's only one bird over there that's problematic, right? The one bird, which is the chatas bird, and if the woman who died, you don't know which one it is. So take out that amount of money and throw that money into the Yam HaMelech, and everything else should become with them. The Gemara looks at this as brera. That the Gemara there's a concept. We had brera a couple of times. We had already the concept, and that means could you decide now retroactively what something was before? So the Gemara thinks that here too you should be able to take out one money and say this is the money. Whatever a person died, a certain rachel, whatever, a certain woman died. So we'll take out this money. We'll say, this is the money of that woman. And the rest of it should become permissible. Just to point out that this is a very difficult concept.
How much do we know we get what she gave?
She gave we know each person gave that money.
Oh.
But the question is, but whose is whose? So the Gemara makes it sound, take out one money, and say this is hers. What do you mean? Is it hers or is it not hers?
But we know the amount. It's $1.
We know $1. Let's say $1. Let's say $1.
What difference does it make what dollar?
No, because the dollar that each person gave belongs to her. Rachel gave $1, Leah gave $1, Rivka gave $1, everyone gave $1.
But if you take out $1, it doesn't have to be the same dollar.
It does have to be because the one that belongs to her
Right.
is the one which is puzzle.
Oh,
That's the Chata Shemesu
so
Bala.
you can't switch.
So how could you switch it? So the Gemara says you could switch it. The Gemara said the Gemara seems to say you could switch it because Beira, and that is a pellet. The Gemara really doesn't make the Gemara really is a wonder. It doesn't make sense because always talk about Beira. That means that something was undecided. So then the question was, you left it a blank check, so to speak. You left it open, and then later on, can I decide retroactively what it was determined for? But here, it was already determined. Rachel gave her money, Rivka gave her money, Sarah gave her money, everybody gave their money. So in the box, each money is already defined. Can I take out money now and say this is a certain person's money? How could you do that? So the Mepharshim are bothered by this kasha. Taisus says in the side, Taisus Daf Yud, inside the Daf Yud, Taisus Shem over here says, they say an answer that the Gemara means to say that they could have made it tonight. Each person, before they put the money into the pushka, we tell them, put it in the pushka only on the condition that if you're going to die, so you're donating your money to the person whose money is going to be thrown out into the Yamamel. Means there's a whole lump decided out of what the Gemara means. The Gemara doesn't say all that. Something you can do Beira. Yes, please.
If you don't say Beira, that means, let's say each woman, let's say they gave 2 coins each. But 1 coin for the Hatas, 1 coin for the Ola, and you'll never know for anybody.
That's a question between the Chatas and the Ola, but the Gemara is saying even more. The Gemara is saying take 1 coin and say this is the Chatas of Rachel. A certain Mrs. Greenberg.
But in any case, you'll take 2 coins from 1 woman and use 1 for Hatas.
No. I understand. That's not a kasha because each woman that gives 2 coins, she didn't decide which one is for which. She just put 2 coins for 2 birds, and you decide. Right. The coin will decide.
Right, that's but you don't know which. Let's say you take two. You don't know whose coins belong to each woman.
They came in groups. They put it in groups. They put it. They don't have to. Really, the truth is they put in the money just plain, and the coin takes how much money there is. There are 56 coins. So he's going to buy 56 birds, and say half of them are for chatas, half of them for ola. Each person each bird for its owner. He doesn't have to know who the owner is. So usually it's not a problem. If nobody dies, everything's fine. He takes all the money out. He buys all the birds for as much money as there is, and he says each one I'm bringing for whoever its owner is. But if somebody dies, now comes the problem. So the person who died, we have to find her chatas money and say this goes to Yam Melech. And the Gemara says you can do that. You can do Beira. That's what the Gemara is conscious. The Gemara now goes into Sugya Yesh Beira, in Beira. But that's the point that the Rishonim ask is that this Beira is not normal because the regular Beira is that when it's undefined, you can define it now. But here it's already defined. You're going to undefine it and redefine it. That's a chiddush. And the Rishonim say how you can do it in a lumdish way that you should be able to make it undefined. So that's the Gemara, and we spoke out the Rishonim's kasha. But the Gemara is the kasha of a nivrar abba zuzi v'nishti b'maya. Take 4 zuz, which is the price of 1 bird, and throw it into the water, and that's unusable. And the rest of it should become permissible. So the Gemara says that we don't know the Beira. Rabbi the less like Beira. Means this whole concept of being able to define something later that retroactively was there the whole time is not so simple. There's some called Yesh Beira, some called Ein Beira. And Rabbi Yehuda, who's the author over here, he says that Ein Beira. You can't decide now what was retroactively. Manolan, how do you know?
What does Beira mean retroactive?
Beira means that something was undefined, and I could define, and on Sunday it was undefined, and on Monday I could define what it was Sunday. I could say this is what it was the whole time. Let's see, I have a few examples now, so then I'll get back into the subject. So the Gemara says if you doesn't hold the Beira, that's why there's no way to redefine whose money is the one who died, and therefore he's scared that someone's going to die. We're going to have to throw all the money into the Yam Melech. So in order to avoid that problem, don't put all the monies into one box. The Gemara continues. Who says Abu doesn't know the Beira? Manalan. Who says Abu doesn't know the Beira? Ilay mimaditnan. Alukiyah chan ben akusim. Erev Shabbos simcha shecha. Omid v'omer. Shnei dugim shani yasad la'afrish areihem truma asara. Meiser Rishon. Tisha Meiser Sheni. Mechel v'shosim. Yeah, did Rameir. We get to the whole block. Hold on. So this was a famous case that somebody has a barrel of wine and he wants to take a Trumas and Maasros. But the case the Mishnah says is because it's right before Shabbos, so he doesn't have time. Or Rashi says the case will be he doesn't have a kli to put it into. So how could you drink the wine without having yet being mafish Trumas and Maasros? If you have to be solids, so you say whatever's on the bottom, that's going to be. Right now I'm Kol Rishem on the bottom, but by liquid you can't do that because the liquid is always moving around. So how is it possible to drink now and be mafish Trumas and Maasros later? So if you hold a brera, it's not a problem. I say whatever's going to be left over. I'm right now. I'm designating that to be truma. We ask him where is it? I don't know where it is now. But wherever's going to be at the end, when I leave over the bottom wine, that Hashem knows where it is, and we'll know later on where it is. So right now, whatever's going to be decided at the end, that's left over. So right now, that's very true. Wherever it is. If you hold a brera, you can do that.
Can be on Yom Tov?
No, we're not talking about Yom Tov. We're talking about before Shabbos. You're not allowed to be mafish Trumas and Maasros on Shabbos and Yom Tov. He's being mafish right now. He's being covered. You're not allowed to do it on Shabbos, but it's before Shabbos or it's a weekday. He doesn't have another kli to put it into. So if you hold a brera, you're allowed to be covered. You declare now where Trumas and Maasros. You say where is it? Wherever it's going to be left over. That's what I'm doing right now. So we're going to define later what is happening now. That's called brera. So the way the Gemara, just to read the Gemara inside, Rabbi Meir says that he says. Let's say he has 100 lug, has 100 liter. And a lug is not a liter, but whatever, he has 100 measurements. So he says, Truma is supposed to be a 50th. So he says, two that I'm going to later on be mafish at the end, that's Truma right now. And the 10 that's going to, the 10 at the end that I'm going to leave over is going to be my Rishon right now. And the 9, after you take off 10, so then you have only 90. So then a 10th is going to be 9 out of 90. That's going to be my Sheni. Mechel means that is machalal, means whatever you're able to fix up. Rashi says fix up already. So besides also making this future brera, also already be machal the ma'aser sheni. Ma'aser sheni you're allowed to transfer onto money. So the truma the ma'aser you don't, but the ma'aser sheni you could be machal. Anyway, it says you're allowed to drink it right away. Did
That's a
Rabbi?
revaya.
What?
That's a revaya?
No, that's not here. That's nothing to do with brera then. Here the question is about the trumas and the maestros that you're going to later on be mafish that you're being makorish now. Whatever's going to be left over later. So that's the question. That's the scenario of brera. Brera holds you can do it. And then Amud Beis, Amud Beis, whatever Tosfos is talking about, we don't know. Rav Yehuda, Rav Yossi, Rav Shimon Oshrin, and there is Rav Yehuda, the top word, Rav Yehuda, Rav Yossi, Rav Shimon Oshrin, because it seems.
I'm sorry. Before I flip the page, I'm sorry. What does it mean, Tisha Meiser Sheni? 9 from what?
When you 9 from 90. When you take off 100,
9 from 90 is 10%. Even I see 9 from 90.
Why is it 10%? Because first you took already off 10 from Meiser Rishon. So you only have to take off Meiser Sheni from what's left over. So once you took off Meiser Rishon, which was a 10, you started off with 100. So you took off 10 from Meiser Rishon, so you have 90 left. So Meiser Sheni is a 10th of that, which is only going to be 9 out of 90. The truth is, they speak out that it's not really exact.
Yeah, it's not really. Yeah. Okay, I get it.
Once you took off
Yeah, I knew it was 10%. I wondered why it was said 9. Okay.
And the truth is that even when you say 10 for Meiser Rishon is also not.
Yeah, it's not counting the truma.
Right.
It's not really counting the truma.
So it's 9.8. It's not going to be a whole 10. But that wasn't Medai. But once you have already knocked it down to 90, so then the Gemara says you only have a 10. It's only going to be 9 out of 90. But the point is, let's take 12%. So Rabbi Meir holds you could do that because he holds a brera. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon also because they don't hold the brera. So
Yeah, I'm sorry, what does Michal mean?
Michal means that you machal, you transfer the kedusha of the Meiser Sheni. Meiser Sheni, that is a way of transferring the kedusha onto money. So there's even a better way to fix it up besides just saying whatever I'm going to do at the end will be Meiser Sheni. You're allowed to drink now. You could even do a little bit better and already transfer the kedusha, and you'd be allowed to drink that also now. You don't have to leave over. You're allowed to even drink. How much are you going to drink? Not only are you going to end up drinking, you take off 2, then another 10, leave over 12. You have 88. But then you have to take off another 9. So you might only have 79. So he says, no, that you can be Michal right away. You'd be able to drink up to 88 because you only have to leave over the 2 plus the 10. So whatever you could.
I'm sorry, the Michal is on the Trumas Meiser?
No, the Meiser Sheni. Truma, you can't be Michal, and Meiser Rishon, you can't be Michal, but Meiser Sheni, you could be Michal. That's what we do nowadays. Meiser Sheni, we transfer the Kedusha of the Meiser Sheni onto money. Like the Pasuk says.
Transfer it.
But if it's too heavy to take, so then you're allowed to transfer it onto money. So that you're allowed to do. Meiser Sheni, you're allowed to transfer onto money.
Okay.
So the Gemara thinks that you have a right from here. Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold up Brera because how come he doesn't agree to this Eitzah of Rabbi Meir? It must be Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon. Everybody doesn't hold the Brera. Alma and Brera. But the Gemara says no. That's not the reason. Over there could be a very practical reason why you don't hold with this Eitzah. Imai, who says that's the reason of Ein Brera? Dum Mashana Yasam Kiditani Taima Amul Oler Rabbi Meir Iatamod Shema Yibaka Nod. The Nimsa shows that Famu Mafreya. Over there, the story says that these Tanan, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon, they told Rabbi Meir, how could you do such a thing? Maybe the barrel is going to break before you eventually leave it over. Means the only reason why it's going to be Trumas and Maasros now is because later on it's going to be. I'm going to eventually going to be able to mafresh it. I'll designate it, and then retroactively it's going to be. But if it never happens in the future, then it's tevel. So they say maybe the barrel is going to break, and if the barrel breaks, then you drank the wine, which you think is not going to be tevel because later on I'm going to decide which was the Trumas and Maasros. But if it never happened because the barrel broke and you weren't able to mafresh it, then it comes out that you really drank tevel. So if that's the reason of Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon, you don't see they don't hold the Brera, they hold the Brera. But there's a practical consideration it might break. Over there it continues. Rabbi says, I'm not worried about it. If it happens, it happens, but I'm not scared it's going to happen. But anyway, what do you see? That the reason of Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon might not be because of Ein Brera. They also might have agreed Yesh Brera, but they just were worried. Maybe the barrel is going to break. So the Gemara brings a different proof that Rabbi Yehuda holds Ein Brera. Ella, we're on the fifth line. Ella Medatani Ayo. The proof is going to be from the Brisa that Ayo said. Ayo is the name of a Amora, and the man Ayo, he said over a Brisa. And this Brisa, we're going to see that Rabbi Yehuda holds Ein Brera. This goes back to Eruvin. Everybody recalls Eruvin. The Tani Ayo. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, the Masna stayed Bam Kechad. So just to back up to what we had, to recall what we had in Eruvin, over there talks about that such thing called Erev Tchumen. If you want to go you want to go more than 2,000 amas, so you could move your headquarters. A person is usually pivoted in his home, and he has 2,000 amas in each direction. You can't get more than 2,000 amas, but you could change the center of where you're living, and then you have 2,000 amas in a different directions. But you can't get more than 2,000 amas. You could just shift it. So what does he do? He puts down Erev Tchumen, and then that becomes his headquarters, and his 2,000 amas radius from that Erev Tchumen. Here it talks about that he doesn't know where he wants to go. Tomorrow he wants to decide. So he puts down 2 Erev Tchumen on both sides. Of course, you can't have both. You can't have both of them. Only can have one of them. But it talks about that if there's a case of doubt, you don't know which one you want, can you put down 2 and then decide? So if you hold a Brera, then you can do that. You can put down 2, and I'll decide tomorrow which one I want. Over there it gives a few scenarios. The Chacham is coming to give it Russia. You don't know which one he's coming from. He's coming from the west, from the east. Where's the Russia going to be? So he puts down 2, and then if the Chacham comes to the west, I want it to be on the west. On the east, he wants it to be on the east. Or if he comes on both, there are 2 Chachamim, and I don't know which. Tomorrow I'll decide which one I want to go to this Russia, this darshan, that darshan. So if you hold the Brera, you can do all that. If you don't hold the Brera, you can't do all of that because he can't decide tomorrow what he wants today. That's what the Gemara is going to come out, and the Gemara is going to say Rabbi Yehuda holds that you can't do it. In short, that's what the Gemara is going to say. Rabbi Yehuda holds you can't make this kind of fancy Erev with a Brera because he holds Ein Brera. That's what the Gemara is going to say. But it takes a little bit of time till the Gemara figures it out because the way it goes over there is that Rabbi Yehuda seems to differentiate between if he the Chacham didn't only one Chacham is coming, and we don't know if he's going to come to the west or to the east, or if there are 2 Chachamim, and the person himself is going to decide tomorrow which one they want to go to. The way the Rashi seems to say is that by one Chacham that you don't know where he's going to come to, Rabbi Yehuda says, I agree over there, you could do it. You could make 2 Eruvin, and wherever he's going to come, I want to go to. But if there's 2 Chachamim that are on both sides, and I'll decide tomorrow which one I want to go to, that's a question of Brera that you can't do. The Gemara is going to say that both of them is Brera. Even the case of the one Chacham that you don't know where he's going to come to, it's also Brera. Because I don't know till tomorrow where he's going to come. And the Gemara is going to say, you're right. All these cases, Rabbi Yehuda holds you can't do. You can't do, put down 2 Eruvin and say whichever way the Chacham is going to come to, or 2 Chachamim and I'll decide tomorrow which one I want to go. All these cases are no good. The only cases where Rabbi Yehuda holds you could do it is if that the Chacham already came to one of the 2 shuls, either to the west or to the east. I don't know which one he came to. I personally don't know, but wherever he is, he is. So then I can put down the 2 Eruvin and they'll tell me tomorrow, tonight, I'll come home and tell me which one did the Chacham come to. That's okay. That's not Brera. I don't know where he is, but wherever he is, he is. So it's not saying I'm doing something now, which is going to be defined tomorrow. It's defined right now. I'm just going to find out tomorrow. That's okay. So after Gemara finishes explaining this, it comes out that the whole Ein Brera. Wherever it is a question of finding out later on what happened retroactively, you can't do it. So that holds the whole Ein Brera, and therefore that's the reason why you wouldn't be able to take out coins and say this is Rachel's coins because he holds a vein bearer. I think Mo's going to be happy with this. That's the reason why there is a problem that if somebody dies, you won't be able to find out whose money, where her money is, and all the money is going to have to go to the Yom HaMelech. So I think Mo's going to be happy with that. But it'll take a little bit of time. We're on the first one. What is this? Sixth line from the top. The Tani Ayo. Ayo said over the following brisa. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, ein of the masnal shnei devarim kechad. Rabbi Yehuda holds that he can make a Tanai on both directions. Ella in Ba Chacham leMizrach, Yerubal leMizrach, Lamar Yerubal lemar. You could do if the Chacham came to the east, my Erev is to the east. If he came to the west, my Erev is to the west. Means he doesn't know where the Chacham is going to come. So far, the Gemara thinks that it means that he didn't come yet, and I don't know where he's going to come. The Gemara thinks that it's good. That's going to be a problem. But you can't put an Erev on both places and say tomorrow I'll decide which one I want to go to, and that doesn't make sense yet. Over there we asked the Kasha, how come you say that you can't put an Erev on both directions and decide tomorrow which one I want to go to? Because the Ein Beria, because you hold the Ein Beria, you can't decide tomorrow what I want to do today. So even if you put it in two directions, and I only want to put it to the place the Chacham is going to come to, over there also I don't know which way the Chacham is going to come. It depends until the Chacham is going to come. So it's also in Beira. And Rabbi Yochanan explained, the only case Rabbi Yehuda holds that is good is only if the Chacham already came, I just don't know where he is. So then I can put down the two Erevin, and they'll tell me which one he came to, but he had to already have been there before Ben Hashmoshes. Anyway, why do we find out of all this? Rabbi Yehuda holds in Beira that if you have to decide, if to find out later on what happened retroactively, it doesn't work. So the Gemara is happy. The Mishnah Shkalim, the reason why Rabbi Yehuda says that you cannot make two boxes and one of them is going to be for the Chatas is because the Chatas is very dangerous, because if someone's going to die, you're not going to be able to use the whole box of coins, because one of them is going to be a Chatas Shebesu Bala that the owner died, and you're not going to be able to do Beira, to take out a coin and say this was hers. So we finished the Mishnah Shkalim, but now we have the problem by the local problem in Yuma. How come Rabbi Yehuda says you don't make two stands in the code in Heichal? You have two bloods, one par, one sar. Everyone would have been like to make two stands, put down one, then take the other one. How come he holds only make one? It must be because of confusion. But we prove that Rabbi Yehuda is not cautious for confusion. If you could write down par, sar, like you see over there, you have 13 boxes. You roll over there. Tikkun Chadatin, Tikkun Atikin, Shkolam Chadashim, Shkolam Yishanim, Kinim. Whatever you wrote over there, Eitzim, Lavona. So you see, you do rely on writing. That's more kasha now. The first one on the line is B'chacham, B'hashtad, Rabbi Yehuda Ein Beira. Now that B'hag Siva Islay, we just figured out Rabbi Yehuda holds Ein Beira, but he does rely on writing. He relies on writing to be able to, as be a reminder. So if you hold to that, so the kasha is Yom Kippur, Nami never trade, how come you don't make two stands and write? This is par, this is sar. What's the confusion? The Gemara says you're right. Usually we do rely on writing, but Mishum Chulsha the Kohen Gadol Lavadate. He's weak. He's fasting. He didn't sleep the whole night. He's working very hard the whole time. So he might be in a daze, and he won't pay attention to what it says. So he might take the wrong one and not realize that it's a note over there. He took the wrong one. But usually you do rely on writing. But that's the answer to the Gemara. That's the Gemara's maskana. The reason why Rabbi Yehuda holds only have one stand is because he's confused. He might get confused in a way that he's not going to realize which is which. And even though it says par, it says sorry, he's not going to realize what he's doing. He might make a mistake. Therefore, do it in a way that's no mistakes. You have only one stand. You take it. You put the other one down. There's no way to make a mistake. The Elot and the Gemara is going to prove that it must be that he's in a daze over here. It might they might be in a daze and not realize anything. If you say that if you don't say the reason is because Chulsha the Kohen Gadol, we're choshish that he's very confused, might be in a state of confusion, but look, Sivanami, high nafish vayzuter, without any writing. Also, the two bloods are very different inherently, without having an outside reminder. It's inherently different because you have blood of a bull and blood of a goat. The blood of a bull is much more than the blood of a goat. And you're supposed to take, the more is going to say right away, you're supposed to take the whole Dam HaNefesh. So one is, I don't know how many more liter it is, but one is much bigger than the other one. The blood of the goat is much less than the blood of the bull. The blood of the bull is very much, the blood of the goat is not so much. So he surely could tell which, if he'd be conscious, he wouldn't be in a daze, then he surely could realize which one is which. What are you choshish for? You might think that maybe even though there are two different bulls and the bull has much more blood, but maybe you don't have to receive all the blood. Maybe just receive whatever you want. A little bit of blood, a lug, 2 lugim, a gallon, whatever it is. But maybe you're just going to take the same amount of each animal. No, it's not true. From Rav Yehuda, Damoshel Parish and Emaves called Dama Parishpoch. El Yisod Mizbach Allah. He's supposed to take all the blood. So the one that has the blood of the bull is all the Dama Nefesh of the bull. I don't think it means all the blood. It means all Dama Nefesh. I don't know how much that is. It must be a huge amount of blood. It's just to point out how much the Kohen Gadol had to carry. In one hand, he carried all the blood, Dama Nefesh. I don't know if anybody could help. How much is that? When it comes out, if a Shochit knows how much blood comes out squirting after he shechted the bull, all that blood is supposed to be received, and the Kohen Gadol has it in one cleat. And the goat, how much blood the goat has. So it's inherently different that the blood of the bull is much more. So of course you can make a mistake. Must be because you're choshish for the choshish of the Kohen Gadol. And the Gemara says more. Maybe there is confusion because even though the blood of the bull is much more, but if it gets spilled out, it could be part of it was being spilled out. Like we're saying, it's very heavy. The Kohen Gadol might have dropped some, and then maybe you can't tell which is more than the other. But the Gemara says no. They're inherently different. They are two different. Literally, it means this is white and this is red. Of course, the blood is not white, but it's not the same shade. There's one of them. If anybody knows, if any shochet is here, if you have the blood of a bull and the blood of a goat, they have a different shade red. Rashi says that the shade of the blood of the bull is a darker red. I don't know. Rashi brings a proof, but the proof, maybe you could challenge the proof. But one of them, the two shades of red are not the same. So therefore, again, it's inherently distinguishable. What do you have to have a chash of getting confused? First of all, the blood of the bull is much more, and even if for some reason it's spilled, still the color itself is a way to distinguish between the two bloods. So why is it the choshish you're going to make a mistake? It must be because he's weak on Yom Kippur, he didn't eat, he didn't sleep, he's working hard, and that's why he might not make a mistake. He might make a mistake. And even if you have writing, also, he's not choshish somewhere on the writing. It's also more blood. It's also different color blood. Still, he might make a mistake. So therefore, the best way to avoid the confusion is to have only one stand. And that's the end of the Gemara. We have a few more lines just finished to the two dots. But that's the answer. How come Rabbi Yehuda holds that you only have one stand? Is in order to avoid confusion, even though there's very many reminders, the note and also the size and also the color, but still you might make a mistake. You have all of these reminders, so therefore they make two stands. Why is it better to have two stands? It doesn't say in the Gemara. Somebody said possibility because just practically that is it's very heavy. Put it down instead of carrying both at the same time. Also, the Magen Avraham says we'd like to do everything with the right hand. If possible, better to do it with the right hand. Therefore, if you have two stands, you can always use your right hand, which maybe it's not so simple because anybody had to do it in his left hand. When he sprinkled with his right finger, he did hold it in his left hand. So, issue. The Gemara continued one more piece. There was a chazan, the Baal Tefillah, that he was the Baal Tefillah in front of Rava. So, our minhag, we do, like Rashi points out, we do the same thing. That in Musaf, we said whole Seder Avoda. That the chazan and the chazar sashatz, not in the private davening, but in the public davening, the chazar sashatz. So he said, "Whole seder avoda." They used to do that also sometimes in the Gemara. This is the source they bring. And there was a chazan who was saying the seder avoda, and he said, "Omar yasav v'nicha al ken sheni shebeifol, and not l'damapar v'niach damasod." The Rambam Mishnah says it. It says that he came out of the Kodesh HaKodashim with the blood of the goat. He put it down on the second stand. That means he says at Rabbanan there are two stands. He put down the blood of the goat on the second stand, and then he took the blood of the bull and put down the blood of the goat. And then he continued though, but the Mishnah is going to say now that he sprinkled the blood of the bull in the heichal, coming up, the parochas, the second set of sprinklings. But anyway, he said the Mishnah the way it says, that he put it down on the second stand, and then he took the blood of the bull and put down the blood of the goat. Amalei, chadek Rabbanan v'chadek Rabbi Yehuda. He says it doesn't make sense the way he's saying it, because if you say that there are two stands, then he would put down that of the goat before he took the blood of the bull. If you only according to Yehuda, they only have one stand. According to him, that you have to take it, then put it down. So then that's why the Mishnah says that he took the blood of the bull and put down the blood of the goat.
Why does he have to take it and then put it down? There's no room?
Right. That's why Yehuda holds there's no room. We only have one. So that's what Yehuda wanted. Yehuda wanted to make sure he doesn't make a mistake. So take one in the left hand and then put down the one with the right hand. But if you have that, if there are two, you're not going to have two stands, and you're going to take and then put down. You never use two stands. It has to be that you're using both of them. So you put down the one you just finished using, and then you take the blood. According to Rabbanan, that you have two stands, so then he first put down the blood of the goat on the second stand, and then he took the blood of the bull from the first stand, and then he continued doing the sprinkling on the heichal, which is going to be tomorrow's sugi. So that's the end of the Gemara today. Very short. What did the Gemara say? The sugi all came up about the confusion of Rabbi Yehuda choshes for confusion, and we thought the reason why we thought, and it's true, the reason why you have one stand instead of two is because you shouldn't confuse and take the wrong one. But put it down and take again the same one they just finished taking, instead of taking the other one. That's a possible mistake. And the Gemara first thought is because you never rely on writing, but the Gemara proved it's not true. We do rely on, Rabbi himself relies on writing by the 13 shofaros, and the only reason over here that he is choshesh is because the Kohen Gadol is weak, closer to Kohen Gadol, he's fasting, he's tired, he's working, and that's why he's choshesh for it more. And he proves it because there's other inherent differences without the writing. The fact that it's more blood, the fact that it's different color, different shade red. It must be here after your choshesh, and that's trying to view the pass like the Rabbana that you have two stands. We're not choshesh for confusion. Agav, the Gemara came in also to the Sugyan in Shkolim. Over there, Abuda says that you don't make pushka, a kupa for the kinei chova. One is chatas, one is an ola. First, the Gemara thought because it might get confused with the other boxes. The Gemara says not true. You have 13 boxes. You're not choshesh for confusion. The answer is going to be Abuda's choshesh that a woman is going to die. Not that she might die, but if a woman actually died, then you can have to throw away all the money into the Yam HaMelech because one chata shemesu boleh and he holds ein vera, he's not going to be able to take out the money and say this is her money. How do you know Abuda holds ein vera? Not from the sugya in Truma, because over there it could be just because he holds Shema Yibaka no, maybe it's going to break, not because of ein vera. But the raya was from Ayo and the Erevin that you can't put down two Erevin and say it'll be decided tomorrow which Erev I want. Because Yol's ain't burial. So that's why he's choshesh that a woman's going to die and all the money's going to have to go to the Ibud. So today's vacation day. I have a share only, and Bez Hashem to be continued tomorrow.
Toda rabba.
Thank you. Thank everybody.
Tomorrow. Tomorrow.